We are on part 2 of our solving multiplying equations lesson. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to go to part 2. But before we do that, I want to review part 1 that we learned last night. It was 3 steps. Our first step is to combine like terms first. So if you have a 2x and a 4x, you add those together to get a 6x. If you have a 20 and a 7, you combine those together to get 27. Then the next step would be, remember the backwards PEMDAS, SAD-MEP. You would go to subtraction or addition to see what numbers are attached to the x term. Subtract or add those off, whatever they are. And then you have to do it on both sides. Then you're going to go divide and multiplication. You'll divide that number off of the variable. And then you'll have the variable by itself. So let's see what our next step is tonight. I have a leaking pen, so we've had some messiness. That pen died. But our next step has to do with both sides of the equal sign. And it is variables so with my leaky pen a while ago, I had to start over. Variables on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, I hope you guys can see that. Sorry about the messiness. Variables on both sides of the equal sign. That's what we're going to be looking at tonight. So this is going to be our last step in solving equations, and this will bring you guys up to date with 8th grade. So you should feel advanced. All right, so here's some notes for you to write. When you are solving an equation with, and this W/ means with variables, and those are the letters, on both sides of equal sign, the first step is to get the variable term to one side of the equation by adding or subtracting, period. So let me explain what that means. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. X plus 5 equals 3x minus 1. Okay, so when you're solving an equation with variables on both sides, we have variables on both sides. We have this guy here and this guy here. So we have x's on both sides. Up until now, we've just had x's on one side of the equation of the equal sign and numbers on the other side. Well, now they're mixed up. So there's one step that we have to do before we follow the steps from last night. And that is to get all of your variables to one side and all of your numbers to the other side. Well, I always like, if possible, I always like for my answer to be x equal blah, blah, blah. And so I like to get all my x's on this side and all my numbers on this side. My numbers on that side and my x's on this side. So we have to take it step by step, okay? So the first thing we have to do is say, are there any variables on the number side? We want to get those over to the x side, to the variable side. Yes, this 3x is over here. And because it is subtracting to hold it together to this 1, which is what the number is, because it's subtracting, we're going to have to move this whole 3x, not divide the 3 off and then move the x. We're going to move the whole thing to this side. So we don't have to divide. We don't have to undo this multiplication right here. We just have to undo the subtraction that's holding it together to this 1. So, but it's really, you can't think of it as subtraction holding it together to the 1, because this negative sign belongs to this 1. It goes with what it follows it. So we're going to take this 3x, and because it's a positive 3x, we are going to have to do the opposite to make it disappear. So if you have something that's positive, how can you make it zero out? Well, you add the negative of that same term to it. So watch. If I have a positive 3x, I'm simply going to subtract it from this side. Is 3x minus 3x 0? Yes, that's what we want, because that means we can move, we have released it from this side, and now it can move over here. So we're going to subtract it over here as well, because whatever you do here, you have to do it here as well. So this is where we have to remember our subtraction rules. This single x here is the same as 1x. And now we have 1x minus 3x. Well, same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. Well, this is not addition, this is subtraction. Change the signs in the middle. Use your rules for add. So I changed this one to a plus, this to a negative. Changed both signs. Keep, flip, change. Okay? Well, now I have a 1x plus negative 3x. So now I'm adding, and I have different signs, so now I have to subtract. 3x minus 1x is 2x. And then you keep the sign for the larger number, which is 3. And so you end up with a negative 2x, because 3 was negative. So over here I have negative 2x plus 5 equals, let me draw my little line here to separate the sides, equals, we have a 0 here, so that canceled out. And then we just have this minus 1 or negative 1 left, because 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So now, do we see any other things that need to be moved? Yes, this number is still on the x side. He needs to move to the number side. So we're going to do the same thing to him. We are going to subtract that from both sides of numbers. Only the numbers. We don't subtract a number from an x term. You can't do that. So you can't subtract an x term from a number. You subtract numbers from numbers, x's from x's. So when we say 5 minus 5, we end up with 0 over there. So all we have left now is negative 2x. And negative 1 minus 5 is same, we got to change, keep, flip the sign, change that sign. So now we have a negative 1 plus negative 5. Same signs, we're adding, so we're going to keep the sign. 1 plus 5 is 6, negative 6. So here we have negative 2x equals negative 6. All right, now we're down to one more step to get that x by itself. We just have to get the negative 2 multiplied by the x. We have to get that off. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 2 to get that negative 2 off. So those negative 2's cancel, and you end up with x equals negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Wow, okay, that seemed like a lot of steps, but you just have to take it little by little, all right? And just like always, you should be able to take this answer, plug it in anytime you see an x in your original equation, and it should check out. So let's check it, okay? We had 1x, which is just 3, because x equals 3, plus 5 equals 3 times x, which was 3, minus 1. Well, this over here is just 8, equals 3 times 3 is 9, minus 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. Does 8 equal 8? Yes, we were correct. Okay? Let's do another one. $20 plus 30x equals 36 plus 28x. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here so you can see the different sides. And if it helps you to know, let's go ahead and put our x's over here and our numbers over here. That's what sides they're going to. So that means you can right now go ahead and pick out what needs to move. We're going to have to move this guy to the x side because he's an x. This guy to the number side because he's just a number. He doesn't have an x. So we could start with anyone. I like to start with my x's first. So if I have a positive 28x, I need to subtract 28x from both sides. So this will zero out. And he's gone from this side. He gone, right? But if I do that over here, I have to do that over here. Minus 28x. Well, this is an easier subtraction. We have 30x, take away 28x, and we get 2x. Can't forget about this 20. We're going to pull him down here. 20 plus 2x equals, all we have left over here is 36. So where do we need to do next? Do we have all of our numbers over here, or do you see any numbers that are left over here? Here's a number. We are going to have to move that guy, that Mr. 20. So to do that, we have to subtract him because that's what we do. We have to get the variable to one side and the numbers to one side by adding or subtracting. Well, since he is a positive 20, we're going to subtract him so that 20 minus 20 equals 0. Good deal. So that means we're going to subtract 20 over here from the number. 36 minus 20 is 16. So now we're left with, all we have left over here on this side is 2x. Yay, on the x side we just have x's, and on the number sides we just have 16. Good, just numbers. So now it's back to our one-step equations. What is holding the x, the number to the x? It's a 2, and it's multiplication. So we have to do the opposite, which is division. We're going to divide that 2 off and get that x by itself. Divide that 2 over here as well because you have to do the same on both sides. 16 divided by 2 is 8. X equals 8. You would be able to go back up here, plug 8 in here, and your sides should equal out.
Good morning, Lumberton Middle School students. If you've received an invitation to come to our LMS Newcomers Breakfast, please go down to the library now. We welcome you and are glad you're here. All newcomers who received an invitation, please go down to the library now.
Okay, so that's the beauty of me filming at school. You get to hear some announcements sometimes. So yes, it is Thursday morning for me, but Thursday night for you. I hope this made sense to you. If you need to go back and watch some steps to clarify, and remember, there's always this site, khanacademy.com, and you could just search in multi-step equations with variables on both sides, and they will get you even more practice. We're going to be outlining this a little bit better tomorrow in class, doing some extra problems for practice, but you have the bulk of the notes now, and you're set for success. Have a great Thursday night. Maybe I'll see you at the community pep rally. Go Raiders!